Rylan worked in the lower decks of Orion Port, a noisy place filled with broken ships, leaking engines and tired workers. He was a simple human mechanic who liked to keep his head down and finish his job. But that night, something strange pulled him away from his usual path. He heard a soft metal clink, followed by a low growl that did not sound normal. It was not angry, not wild. It sounded tired. It sounded like a creature asking for help. He followed the sound through a row of storage crates until he reached a long cargo container with a warning sign painted on it. The sign showed sharp teeth and a tail. Rylan frowned. The door was cracked open just enough for light to pass through. He leaned in, expecting to see a normal animal someone had captured. Instead, his heartbeat quickened. Inside, pressed against a corner, was a feline-like creature with silver fur and golden eyes. It was larger than a dog but slimmer than a tiger. Metal cuffs locked its legs and a heavy collar dug into its neck. The creature raised its head weakly when it saw him. It did not bare its teeth. It did not hiss. It only watched him with quiet, tired eyes, as if waiting for him to decide something important. Rylan felt a twist in his chest. No creature should be chained like this. But he also knew the port had strict rules. If he touched anything inside a restricted cargo container, he could lose his job. He stood there, sweating, listening for footsteps. No one else was around. He whispered, "What are you? Who put you here?" The creature blinked slowly, like it understood the tone even if it did not understand the words. Its tail twitched once, then went still. He saw dried marks around its face, maybe tears, maybe dust. Whatever it was, it had been there for a long time. Rylan checked the control panel beside the container. The system listed the creature as one item, feline predator prototype, do not open. But there was no owner name. No shipment destination. Nothing. Everything looked unfinished, like someone had tried to hide the record. Rylan sighed. He hated trouble. He hated danger. And he absolutely hated doing something that could get him fired. But he also hated seeing a living creature suffer. He knelt beside the cracked door. "If I open this, you're not going to jump on me, right?" The creature lowered its head again. It looked defeated, like it had already accepted whatever happened next. Rylan entered the container slowly and checked the locks on the cuffs. They were old and rusted, probably used by smugglers or illegal traders. Someone had captured the creature and dumped it here without a real plan. That made him angry. He took out a small tool from his belt and started cutting the bolts. Sparks flew in the dim space. The creature stayed still the whole time. When the final lock dropped to the floor, it flinched but did not run. "You're free now," Rylan whispered. The feline rose slowly, its legs shaky. It stretched slightly, testing its body. Rylan stepped back to give it space, expecting it to jump out and dash away. Instead, it walked toward him, not aggressive, not fast, just calm. It sniffed his hand softly. Rylan froze. Okay. You're friendly. Good." The creature let out a deep, soft sound, like a mix of a purr and a hum. It surprised him. He had never heard a predator make a sound like that. He touched the side of its neck gently. Its fur was warm and soft, but he could feel the thinness of its body. It was starving. "Who did this to you?" he whispered again. The creature looked up as if it wanted to answer but couldn't. Rylan backed out of the container. "Come on. Before someone sees." The feline followed him without hesitation. Its steps were quiet, almost graceful, but tired. He led it through the shadows toward his workshop, hoping no cameras caught them. Every corner felt dangerous. Every sound made him jump. But the creature stayed close, as if trusting him more with each step. When he reached his workshop door, he let it slip inside first. The creature immediately curled in the warmest corner, like it had finally found a safe place. Rylan locked the door behind him and took a long breath. He sat on a crate across from it and stared. "What am I doing? I just freed some alien predator thing that probably costs more than my whole life." The creature opened one eye and let out another soft hum. Rylan smiled nervously. "You're welcome, I guess." The spaceport outside continued its loud, busy chaos. Workers shouted, engines hissed, metal clanged. But inside that small workshop, everything felt strangely calm. The creature slowly drifted to sleep, trusting him completely. Rylan had no idea that the simple act of freeing it would change his life, or that this neglected creature was far more important than he could ever imagine. He had only followed his heart. And now, something powerful and strange had chosen to follow him. Rylan woke before sunrise, the dim workshop lit only by a single flickering panel. For a moment, he forgot he had brought a strange creature into his shop. But then he heard a soft sound, like a gentle, steady breathing. He looked toward the corner. The feline predator lay curled on an old blanket he had tossed over it during the night. Its silver fur glowed faintly in the low light. It looked peaceful, not dangerous at all. Rylan rubbed his eyes. He had freed something powerful and he still did not know what it really was. He stepped closer, quietly, not wanting to startle it. But the creature opened its golden eyes before he made a sound. It was awake, alert, and watching him carefully. "Morning," he said softly. The creature lifted its head and made a gentle humming sound again. Rylan still could not believe a predator could make such a soft, warm noise. It did not act wild. It did not act confused. It acted aware. Rylan unlocked a drawer and pulled out a small pack of dried meat he kept for long shifts. He opened it and placed a piece on the floor, sliding it toward the creature. It sniffed the food, then looked at Rylan as if asking for confirmation. "It's for you," he said. The creature finally ate, slow and careful, not greedy at all. That surprised him more than anything else. Most starving animals he had helped before ate fast like they feared the food would vanish. But this one acted like it understood patience. Rylan sat down across from it. "What were you? A test animal? A soldier creature? Something made in a lab?" The feline paused its eating. It looked at him with focused eyes and he felt something strange, almost like the creature wanted to explain but didn't know how. Rylan shook his head. "I'm talking to an alien cat, fox, wolf, thing." "Great. I'm losing it." The creature stopped eating and suddenly stood. Rylan tensed, ready to move if it attacked. But instead, it stepped close and pressed its forehead lightly against his knee. The gesture shocked him. "Why are you doing that?" he whispered. The creature hummed again, a deeper sound, full of warmth. It did not act like a weapon. It acted like something intelligent. Before he could think more, a loud knock hit the workshop door. Rylan jumped. "Rylan?" a voice called. It was Mika, another mechanic from the port. "You in there? We got a report about noise on the docks last night. You see anything?" Rylan froze. If anyone saw the creature, he would be in serious trouble. Mika knocked again, harder this time. "Open up, man. Supervisor wants everyone checked in." Rylan looked at the creature. "Hide," he whispered urgently. To his shock, the creature immediately slipped behind a stack of old engine parts, moving silently and quickly. It blended into the shadows so well even he could barely see it. Rylan hurried to the door and cracked it open. Mika raised an eyebrow. "You look tired. You okay?" "Yeah," Rylan said quickly. "Just working late." "Did you hear anything weird?" Security said sensors picked up movement near the abandoned containers. Rylan's heartbeat raced. Could be rats. Or faulty sensors. That place is full of broken tech. Mika grunted. "Maybe. Well, hurry up. We need all mechanics in Bay 7. "Right. I'll be there." When Mika left, Rylan shut the door and sighed in relief. That was close. The creature stepped out from the shadows, silent as a ghost. Rylan stared. It had understood him. It had listened. It had hidden perfectly. That was not normal animal behavior. He knelt down slowly. "Can you understand me?" The creature tilted its head, then nodded. A clear, deliberate nod. Rylan fell backward in shock. "What? You can think? You're smart." The creature let out a soft vocal sound, almost like a word but not fully formed. Then it tried again, shaping the sound carefully. "Arwa." Rylan froze completely. You can talk?" The creature tried again, the voice rough and soft, like it had never spoken before. "Rylan." Rylan's breath caught. "Okay. Well, I'm definitely awake. You know my name." The creature nodded once more. Then it stepped closer, its golden eyes shining with something old and deep. "Intelligence. Memory. Purpose. What are you?" Rylan whispered. The creature lowered its head as if searching for the right sound. Then it spoke a single word that chilled him. "Guardian." Rylan stared at it, stunned. This was no normal creature. This was no simple predator. This was something created, or born, with a mission. A mission that Rylan had accidentally stepped into. And now the Guardian had chosen him. Rylan stared at the creature, Mara, as she sat calmly on the workshop floor. She looked peaceful, almost gentle, but her golden eyes carried something heavy, something old. He still could not understand how a creature that had been chained like a tool could speak his name with such clarity. Mara watched him carefully as if trying to understand his thoughts. Her silver fur glowed faintly under the workshop lights, almost like energy moved under her skin. Rylan swallowed hard. "Mara," he said slowly, "you said you're a guardian. What does that even mean?" Mara blinked, then lowered her head. Her voice came out rough and soft, like someone who had not spoken for many years. "Protect worlds," she said. "Protect life." Rylan felt a chill run down his spine. You protect worlds?" Mara nodded. That made no sense. The creature he freed was chained like a tool in a forgotten storage bubble. Her body showed signs of old wounds and burned markings. No one would treat a world protector like that. "Then why were you enslaved?" he asked quietly. "Why were you treated like nothing?" Mara closed her eyes for a moment as if remembering something painful. When she opened them, her voice came out clearer than before. "Betrayed." Rylan leaned forward. "By who?" Mara took a long breath, then spoke again with slow effort. "High Council, feared guardians. Feared my kind." Rylan frowned. He had heard of the Galactic High Council. They were powerful, strict, and sometimes cruel. But why would they fear Mara? She continued speaking, each word stronger. "Guardians keep balance. Keep peace. Council want control. All control. So they captured you?" Rylan asked. Mara nodded. "Captured. Used. Hurt." Something twisted inside Rylan. He felt anger, sharp and burning. "They thought you were a weapon." Mara looked at him with sad eyes. "Not weapon. Protector." Rylan exhaled slowly. "And now you're here. In my workshop. With me." Mara tilted her head. "You broke chain. You choose kindness." Rylan felt his face heat a little. "Look, I just didn't like seeing anyone treated like that. Even if they're a guardian." Mara slowly walked closer. She sat beside him, her tail curling around her paws. He was surprised at how calm she seemed now. No growling. No fear. Just quiet understanding. "What happens now?" he asked. Mara looked toward the workshop door, then back at him. "Danger comes. Council searches. They want me back." Rylan's stomach tightened. He knew the council didn't send simple officers. They sent hunters, trackers, machines. If they wanted Mara back, they would not ask nicely. "Why did you choose me?" he whispered. "You could have run. You could have fought." Mara lowered her head until it rested gently beside his knee. "You see me? Not beast. Not weapon. Me." Rylan felt a soft shock move through him. A creature like Mara, powerful, rare, intelligent, trusted him. A simple junkyard mechanic. A nobody. He swallowed. "If the council comes, they'll arrest me too." Mara nodded sadly. "They will try. And if I help you escape, I'll be hunted." Another nod. Rylan rubbed his face. "Well, I've been hunted before." He gave a weak laugh. Army training wasn't useless after all. Mara lifted her head and looked at him, her eyes glowing with something fierce. "Respect. You are brave." "Rylan," she said. "No," he whispered. "I'm just tired of people hurting others because they can." Mara stood and walked to the center of the workshop. She straightened her body, and suddenly, energy shimmered around her, thin, glowing lines like ancient markings awakening. Rylan stared in shock. What is happening?" Mara's voice changed. It was not louder but stronger. Clear. Smooth. Powerful. "This is my truth," she said. "I am Mara, guardian of the luminous paths. Last of my line." Rylan could barely breathe. He felt like he was standing in front of a queen. The markings faded slowly and Mara's voice softened again. "They erased my name. They erased my kind. But you, help me remember." Rylan stepped closer, resting a hand carefully on her shoulder. To his relief, she leaned gently into his touch. "Mara," he said, "I won't let them take you back." Her golden eyes brightened. "Then we stand together." A loud crack echoed from outside the workshop. Metal footsteps, heavy and sharp. Rylan's heart jumped. He knew that sound. Council hunters. Mara's eyes narrowed. "They come." Rylan grabbed his tool belt and slung it around his waist. His pulse kicked into high speed. "Then we start running," he said. Mara stepped beside him, tall and silent. "No," she said softly. "We start fighting." The metal footsteps outside grew louder, slow and heavy, like machines built for only one purpose: capture. Rylan felt the vibration through the workshop floor. Whoever the council sent was not here to talk. They were here to take Mara by force. Rylan glanced at her. Mara's fur began to glow faintly again, but she stayed calm, watching the door as if she had faced this many times before. "They expect you to panic," Rylan whispered. Mara nodded. "They expect fear." "Well," Rylan said, tightening his tool belt, "they picked the wrong mechanic." The workshop door slammed open. 3 council sentinels marched inside, Tall, metal-armored beings with glowing visors and cold mechanical voices. They scanned the room with sharp beams of blue light. Unauthorized lifeform detected, one sentinel announced. Guardian-class entity. Return to council custody. Rylan stepped forward before they could see Mara. His heart pounded, but he kept his face steady. Hey, this is private property. You can't just burst in. One sentinel turned toward him. Human mechanic Rylan Cole. You are not authorized to intervene. Rylan forced a small smile. Funny. I don't remember asking for authorization. The sentinel stepped closer. Move aside. Harm will be minimized if you comply. Rylan's mind raced. He could not fight machines like these head-on. But he knew his workshop better than anyone. He knew every loose bolt, every hidden switch, every unstable power coil. And the sentinels didn't. Mara stayed behind the old engine stack, completely still, trusting him. That trust gave him courage he didn't know he still had. Rylan shrugged casually. If you want something in my shop, he said, you follow the rules. He pointed up. Rule number 1, watch your step. The sentinels scanned the ground. Too late. Rylan slammed his palm on a control switch behind him. A small explosion of sparks burst from the floor as a trap panel opened, sending one sentinel crashing into a pit he had been meaning to repair for months. The remaining 2 turned sharply, weapons powering up. Interference detected. Human resistance logged. Rylan ducked behind a metal crate as a beam shot past him, slicing a workbench in half. Mara, now would be a great time for guardian magic. Mara stepped smoothly out of hiding, her golden eyes glowing. Not magic, she corrected softly. Light. A wave of shimmering energy pulsed from her body, bright but gentle. It passed over Rylan harmlessly, but the sentinel's armor sparked wildly. Their sensors flickered. Rylan's eyes widened. You're jamming them. Mara nodded. Their machines fear light. Good, Rylan said, grabbing a heavy tool from the floor. Because I don't. He sprinted forward. While the sentinels struggled to regain control of their systems, Rylan swung his electromagnetic wrench into the side of one's helmet. The impact sent out a short burst of static. The sentinel collapsed, disabled. The last sentinel steadied itself and pointed a charged weapon at Rylan. Target locked. Mara leapt between them, moving with a speed Rylan had never seen. Her body became a streak of silver light as she struck the sentinel with a sharp, powerful blow. It crashed into a wall and shut down instantly. The workshop fell silent. Rylan leaned against a crate, breathing hard. Remind me, he said between breaths, never to make you angry. Mara walked to him slowly, her glow fading. You are brave, Rylan. Braver than they knew. Rylan shook his head. I'm not brave. I'm just tired of being pushed around by people who think they're above everyone. Mara looked around the ruined workshop. They will send more. Stronger ones. Yeah, I figured, Rylan said with a sigh. They always overreact. He walked to a shelf and pulled down a portable tool case, stuffing it with parts, small devices and scraps he might need. Then he grabbed a small pack of food. Time to run. Mara stepped beside him. Time to choose. Run, or rise. Rylan stared at her. Rise? Against the council? Mara nodded. Guardian alone cannot win. But Guardian with human? She placed a paw gently on his hand. Possible. Rylan's chest tightened. No one had ever spoken to him like that, not with hope, not with trust. Mara, he said softly, I'm a mechanic. I fix engines. I'm not a fighter. Mara leaned closer. You fought today. Not with weapons. With heart. Rylan looked around the destroyed workshop one last time. This place had been his home, his safe corner of the galaxy. Now it was gone. So, he said, taking a steady breath, where do we go? Mara walked toward the open door, her fur catching the morning light. Where truth waits. Where others hide. Where guardians fell. Rylan stepped beside her. And where humans stand tall, he added. Mara's golden eyes shined warmly. Yes. Together they walked out of the workshop. Behind them, the sunlight hit the broken sentinels, reflecting off the metal like fallen statues. The council had underestimated a simple mechanic. And that mistake was only the beginning. Rylan and Mara moved through the quiet morning streets, leaving the broken sentinels behind. The sun was rising, painting the metal buildings with soft gold. Everything looked calm, almost normal, but Rylan knew that peace would not last. The council would not forgive what happened in his workshop. They would send more hunters, stronger ones, maybe even ships. But he did not feel fear now. Mara walked beside him with steady steps, her silver fur glowing faintly. Anyone who saw her would call her a predator. But Rylan knew she was something far more powerful, something ancient, something noble. A guardian. And somehow she had chosen him. They reached the edge of the docks where old ships were kept. Rylan stopped in front of a small transport craft he had repaired many times. It was rusty and slow, but it could fly. "We take this one," he said. Mara looked at the ship, then at him. "Broken engine." Rylan grinned. "Not broken. Just sleeping." He opened the hatch and climbed inside, with Mara following silently. The ship smelled like dust and old metal, but to Rylan, it felt like hope. He sat in the pilot seat and started connecting loose wires. "Give me a few minutes." Mara walked around the cockpit carefully, examining everything. "You trust this machine?" "I trust my hands," he replied. "I've fixed worse." Mara stood quietly and watched him work. Her glowing markings reflected off the metal walls, filling the cockpit with soft light. Rylan felt her presence like warm energy at his back. Finally the engine hummed weakly. "There we go," he said. "One more adjustment and..." The engine roared to life, not loud but strong enough to make the ship tremble. Rylan smiled. "She's ready?" Mara stepped beside him. "Then we leave." Rylan looked at her, wondering again why she chose him. "Mara, you could choose anyone. You could go to a warrior. A leader. Someone trained for things like this." Mara lowered her head so her eyes met his. "Warriors follow orders. Leaders seek power. You seek truth and kindness." Rylan blinked, surprised. No one had ever said something like that about him. Most people saw him as just a mechanic, someone who fixed things quietly in the background. "You saw me," Mara said softly. "Not cage. Not chains. Me." Rylan felt something warm in his chest. "And I'm not leaving you to fight alone." Mara nodded once. "Then we stand together." Just as Rylan reached for the controls, a loud alarm rang across the docks. He looked out the window and froze. Several council ships appeared in the distance, sleek, silver, and fast. Their wings glowed bright blue as they descended toward the docks. "They found us," he said. Mara took a calm breath. "Then let them see." The council ships landed hard, and squads of armored soldiers marched out. Rylan's hands shook as he powered up the engines. "Hold on," he shouted. The ship lifted, slowly at first, then faster. Council soldiers aimed their weapons and fired, but Mara stepped to the door and released a pulse of shimmering light. The shots bent around the ship, like the light itself protected them. Rylan stared in awe. "That's unbelievable." Mara's voice was steady. "Guardians protect life, not destroy." The ship shot upward into the bright sky. Soldiers yelled below, but their voices faded as Rylan guided the ship into open space. When they finally broke free of the planet's pull, Rylan let out a long breath he did not know he had been holding. "We made it." Mara stood beside him, her fur glowing in the soft light of distant stars. "Journey begins now." Rylan looked out at the endless galaxy spread before them. "Where to?" Mara gazed at the stars. "My home. The place where the Guardians lived. The place Council tried to erase." Rylan nodded. "Then that's where we go." He leaned back in the seat and looked at her again. "Mara, why did you choose me?" "Really?" Mara stepped closer and pressed her forehead gently against his shoulder, a gesture he now understood well. "You broke chains," she whispered. "But also, you broke fear. You showed me I am not alone." Rylan felt his throat tighten. She was right, he had not just freed her body. He had freed her hope. "And you," Mara said softly, "are more than mechanic. You are heart-strong. You are light in dark." Rylan looked at her, unsure what to say. Then Mara lifted her head proudly. "I choose you, as my partner." Rylan smiled slowly. "Then I choose you too." The ship drifted forward into the star-filled horizon, glowing softly from Mara's light. Behind them, the galaxy they knew changed forever because a guardian had finally chosen someone again. And this time she chose a human. Together, they flew into the unknown, ready to face whatever waited next. And for the first time in a long time, Rylan believed the future might be brighter than he ever imagined.